Hi, this is Dustin Burrell. We're in CIS 104 networking. We're going to be doing chapter 3, which is a network address translation, hands-on labs 13.1, preparing for an NAT, 13.2, configuring dynamic NAT, and configuring PAT. And NAT is a network address translation, and PAT is the third activity. That's port address translation. So 13.1, before you get started, you're going to want to configure your network how mine is. So so that it has all green lights lit up. I went with a serial 00, 000 interface, 001 right here, 00 again, G00 interface. So I did very basic. And right now where we're at is with our pinging is we can go from here to here, but we still yet cannot go from here to here. That is because we haven't done our router rip yet, and those are the commands we're going to do in 13.1. But before we start, if you haven't configured your network, this is what I did. It's very similar to the book, but I just set it up how it would go from right to left. ISP router first, lab A, C, B, and C. Networks that I used right here. If you guys need a pause and configure your network and then come back and join me, feel free to, or you can just continue watching with me right now. So on 13.1 in this lab, you'll set up your routers with IP address and RIP routing. That's basically what I was just showing you down there. After you configure IP addresses on the routers, you should be able to ping from router to router, but since we do not have a routing protocol running until the next step, you can verify only from one router to one router. That's what I was verifying with the PDUs. Through the network until RIP is set up. You can use any routing protocol you wish. I am just going to use RIP for the simplicity's sake to get this up and running, just like the book is saying. So we're going to go to lab A first, lab A router. Go into your command line interface, enable configuration mode. Our first command is going to be router rip. You see that it changes the config router. And we're going to want to set some networks up through here. And remember the little notepad I had right here. The networks that we want to run through router A is going to be 192.682.01, which is going to take care of my S001 interface. And then we also want to go through the 171.16 network, which is going to be taking care of these two. And then take care of these two. So that will take care of all of our serial interfaces on router 1. So let's just do that. The command would be network 192.168.20.0, and then network 171.16.0.0. That's going to cover the 17 network. And we're going to want to set up a passive interface. For the way that my network is set up, I had to play around with this a little bit to figure it out. I believe it's S000. If not, I'll troubleshoot and figure it out. But we need the passive interface S0/0/0 and exit out of here. And last but least, on the router A, we need to have an IP default network. IP default network. IP default network, and we're doing the 10.1, which is down on router A, or actually router ISP. 171.16.10.1 is the network we want to set up for the default network. And basically, this will be the default route from the ISP router all the way over to the lab B router. And to make sure that makes sense, let's go right here. We have S00 to S00. So yes, it would make sense to do the passive interface on S00. Next, we want to go to the lab B router. And a little more I want to touch on the passive interface command. This pretty much stops RIP updates from being sent to the ISP. And the IP default network command advertises the default network to the other routers so they know how to get to the internet. Now that we're going to go to lab B, we got to do a little RIP routing there too. Get into your configuration mode, enable router RIP, network 192.168.30.0. Same thing with the 20 network too. And these two are covering 1920 and 1930, the two interfaces that lab B has in its S00 and G00. So that's going to allow traffic to go through that router. And the default network is already set up, so you don't have to do it on lab B or lab C. But we do have to go to lab C real quick. Go right over here. And just set up one network to be able to pass through traffic. And that would be network 30. 192.168.30.0. Get that in there, and then we should be fine. And now all we have to do is go back over to the ISP router and configure a default route to the corporate network. Go out of lab C, go to ISP. And in here, we're just going to do a simple 0 route. And IP route 0. 4 zeros. 4 zeros again. And then do it on the S0/0/0 interface. And it's going to say default route without date delay. If not, a point-to-point interface may impact performance. And that's the option that it's given us. But to make sure we did this right, we also want to do some pinging. But before we do some pinging, configure the ISP router so you can telnet into the router without prompted for a password. That's probably not going to work, and I'll show you what happens when you try that. Here we'll go conf t, get into config mode, line vty 0/4. It usually does not like this command. Surprised it didn't show up. Oh yeah, no login. Last time I typed this command in, it rejected it and said make a password. And that's what I'm going to do anyway, just because I don't want to have any problems with us trying to log into our routers, just because Packet Tracer doesn't like this command, which is line vty04, no login. So what I'm going to do is just password Cisco and then login so we can telnet. Now we got to verify our pinging and make sure our network is set up as okay. Of course, we could do this before, just go from router to router. We'd have successful pings, but we want to see if we can go from ISP to B. We're successful, that's good. Or ISP to C. Yes, we are successful. And I'm very happy because A couple times yesterday I wasn't doing it right, and that's just because I had it set up on the incorrect serial face. So it's very important to pay attention to what serial face you're doing the default route on, and also the one you're doing the IP route on. Make sure that it's this serial face, and make sure it's this serial face. That's what I had to learn yesterday. Okay, so we're going to move on to activity 13.2, configuring the dynamic network address translation. In this lab, you'll configure dynamic NAT on the lab A router, and we're going to create a pool of addresses called global NAT on the lab A router. The pool should contain a range of addresses such as 17.16.10.50 through 17.16.10.55. So, back to our lab A router. Let's see. Let's go end. Do a copy run start since we've been doing everything on here. Get back into configuration mode. We're going to do an IP NAT global NAT with the range that I was just talking about, 50 to 55. So lab underscore A. Oh, wait. Sorry. I already have that up there. IP NAT pool global. And you don't have to put the net if you don't want to. I prefer not to. 16.10.50. 171.16.10.55. But then you have to have a net mask behind it too. So NET, just a C class. There's your IP NAT global address, 1750 through 55 with a net mask of C class. But also what we want for this translation to take effect is also get access list. This list permits traffic from 192 to 192.30. So 20 to 30, that's going to take care of our 20 and 30 sections of the network. So do an access list 1 permit 192.168.20.0 and give it a wildcard mask 0.0.0.255. Double check that. Okay, looks good. Until I did that. Do another one and make sure you take care of the 30 network. Same wildcard mask, same command, just difference is a 3 and a 0 in the IP address. And make sure you're going to map the access list to the pool that was created. So one other configuration we'd like to do, since we're in configuration mode on lab A, is do an inside source and an outside source. We're going to do those for serial faces. And right before we do that, we're going to do a pool, another pool. It's going to be called the IP NAT inside pool. Source list 1 pool. IP NAT inside source list 1 pool global. And now we're going to separate the serial faces. S000 is going to be the inside, and IP is going to be the outside. IP NAT inside. Interface S0/0/1. IP NAT outside. So that separates the serial interfaces with serial 001 as the outside and 000 as the inside. Now we want to move the console connection from lab C router, and so basically log into lab C router and try to telnet to see if this is working correctly. Get out of lab A, go to lab C. Let's end on this. Copy, run, start while we're here. And then right here is where you do the telnet command. And it's probably going to ask me to log in because I set up a password. Do the 171.16.10.1 network to ISP router to see if it makes it. We need to make a space right here. And then Cisco for our password if you guys set it up. Enable, no password set. Let's see here. Just a sec. I haven't ran into this problem. I'm going to pause it for a second. Alright, sorry about that. We're going to continue to the next command. I had a problem with telnetting. Was trying to configure it, and for some reason it just wasn't getting to it. So we're just going to move on. On step 8, we needed to teach how to use the show users command from the ISP router. So let's go back into there. Bring this down here a little bit. In the ISP router, we're going to use the command show users to show what we're doing here on our host, the 171.61.1 location. We tried the 51, idled. It's just showing what happened when I tried to telnet. For some reason it don't work. And I apologize, I just don't have time to configure it. I just need to get this turned in. Study for the final. So what does it show that your source IP address is? The source IP address is pretty much the 171.16.10.51. And what is the real source IP address? This one right here, 52. So that's one address it's using, and that's the other address it's trying to use. The show user output should look something like this, how it does right now. And we got our 51 and 52 trying to connect. Unfortunately, there's some command that I haven't done correctly. Or it's possibly the inside. I tried the IP NAT inside and IP NAT outside, and I tried to reconnect it. And for some reason, when I tried to telnet, and I could show you an example just to show you what I've been dealing with, it loses its connection with the host. So type in telnet 171.16.1. This time it's actually trying. That's good. And yeah, connection timed out, remote host not responding. And I went and did a show run here to see what I did wrong or right. And to my knowledge, I thought I did everything right. IP route, yeah. There's my IP NAT global 176.10.50.55 net mask. I created my access list both right here, 2030, and on serial I got passive interface on serial 00. I'm wondering if I need to do a passive interface on the 01, but I don't know. It didn't tell me I needed to. IP classes, IP route, my password Cisco. I actually did this to where I didn't have to do log in to get into the telnetting, which is good because that was hard. Here, let's see if we can just do it from here. And this is, I don't get either. Like, it goes to the ISP right here. No password set, and I don't know why that does that because I didn't want the password set. So that's the problem I'm having with that. That's why I decided to move on. I just wanted to let you know what was going on, Randy. I apologize for, it'll probably dock me points, but it's okay. I gotta get ready for finals. Leave the session open on the ISP router. Connect to lab A. Use Control Shift plus 6. Let go and press 6. That's inside the ISP router in here. Now we're going to go back in, but besides doing that, we're just going to go back into our lab A router and show you how show IP translations work as soon as this gets out of here. I'm going to pause it so you don't have to sit here and watch me do this. Be right back. Alright, welcome back. Let's see. Now what's the password back? Okay. I'm supposed to be doing this in router A, but for some reason it's just making it really difficult for me. Something has gone whack with my network. I'm really just trying to show you how these commands work. Show IP translations with the and get out of there. Show IP NAT translations. Just gonna try to show you the IP translations on router B because router A isn't working. Okay, should be showing my, oh, the reason why is because this isn't where we set up the inside outside. Okay, so I gotta wait for my router A to get back to normal. I don't know what the heck is going on here. Man. But see, as you can see, it's been doing this, and I have no idea what I've done, man. This is worse than yesterday when I did it. God damn it. Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh my gosh, so I figured out I was still in configuration mode. I finally hit exit and got out of it. So let me see if I can actually do something on this project now. Like show IP NAT translations. Okay, so now you see these addresses sitting here with the inside global, inside local, outside local, and inside outside global addresses. This is what it should look like when you get this pulled up. As you can see, my addresses have been configured, and I think that's one of the problems right there. I have a UDP going right there. It should be TCP, I believe. Actually, that does not look good right there. I think that's our main problem right there with the UDP on 10.5.3. Okay, so just moving on. I apologize, it's not the most beautiful, but we're at 13.3. We got to learn how to configure a PAT, port address translation. So we're going to go back onto router A, and we're just going to start with clear IP NAT translations with the, of course that didn't work. Clear IP NAT translation. There we go. No S. And that clears the IP NAT translations before we start configuring PAT, port address translation. Go to conf T, get into configuration mode. Let's get rid of the pool. No NAT. No IP NAT pool. Global 171.16.10.50. Get rid of that. Pool global in use cannot destroy when. What do you mean it's in use right now? Oh, well, for one, I didn't even complete the command. And then 171.16.10.55 with the net mask. Net mask of 255.255.255.0. Full global in use cannot destroy. I honestly have no idea what this did. Lab A. Oh my gosh, dude. How many interruptions can I have during a video? So, lab A, config. No IP. NAT inside. Source list. 1. Pool. Global. Some reason, my network's all out of whack. We cannot get rid of anything I'm trying to get rid of. I'm really getting irritated. Let's just imagine all that stuff disappeared like it's supposed to, but for some reason it's not doing it. Go to the next part. On Lab A router, create an NAT pool with one address called Lamel. The pool should contain a single address. Okay. That's your next command. What that's supposed to do, NAT pool with one address called Lamel, the pool should contain a single address. Now we got to create some access list, which would be access list to permit 192.168.192.168.20.0 wildcard mask. Same thing again. 192.168.30. Enter. And now you want to map access list 2 to the new pool, allowing PAT to occur by using the overload command. So you're going to want to go lab underscore A. No, gosh, damn it, dude. IP NAT inside source list to pool, and then overload command after Lamel because we're overloading it. Okay. Log into the Lab C router and telnet from ISP router. Also log into Lab B router and telnet from ISP router. I really doubt this is gonna work because that's where my whole project went out of whack, is when I was trying to telnet. Gosh. Telnet 171.16.10.1. There. It's gonna try and it's probably not gonna make it. Connection timed out. Something's up with my remote host. We're gonna go do show users, show IP, NAT translations. We're gonna get the heck out of here. I got too much to do before I can just spend 7 hours on this assignment. I've already spent 2 days on it. Anyway, go back to your ISP. Show users. Normally it would show more than this, but it's only showing one. There's something all out of whack with my. Let's see if the show IP translations will at least work. Oh well, that's why we gotta get into configuration mode. It'll let me. Okay, there's one user, and then let's also do show IP translations in here. Bet you for some reason it will show up just fine on Lab A. Show users. I've lost all my users. Great. There's the IP translation. I am down to 1 UDP. That's why nothing's working correctly. My TCP connections are incorrect. I could troubleshoot this, but I'm just going to turn this in. I apologize for the horrible video, but I got to get rolling on other things.